It is always a pleasure to be amongst friends, and today is no exception, especially as we are celebrating Buddha Day. Today I am so happy to talk about a trailblazer in Buddhism and its propagation in the Western world. This year, 2014, happens to be the 150th birth anniversary of Anagarika Dharmapala, a great benefactor to whom all we Buddhists owe a debt of gratitude. Therefore, I feel it is apt and opportune to talk about him. Although in the limited time that has been allocated to the program, I hope I can do justice to his memory. It is also proper that we remember the late Christmas Humphreys. He and Anagarika Dharmapala forged a friendship based on mutual understanding and respect for each other, dedicated to a common goal, which was the propagation of Buddhism in the Western world. Anagarika Dharmapala was born in Ceylon, as it was then called. Today it is Sri Lanka. In 1864, to a Mudliar Don Karoli Seelawimala and his beloved wife Mallika. Mudliar was a title of honor, a person who had reasonable wealth and local leadership. Dharmapala was the eldest child in this very wealthy family, distinguished family, who were dedicated Buddhists. It is worth remembering that this was at the highest of British rule, where Christianity and English education received pride of place. The boy was given a Christian name, David. Having school at St. Benedict's Catholic School and St. Thomas's Protestant School, David acquired a fluent command of the English language. Although the Christian faith and its values were brought to bear upon young David, the fact that the family maintained a close association with the revered and venerated monk Hikkaduwe Sri Sumangala Thero enabled David to remain resolutely loyal to his Buddhist values and principles. This was an era when there were many dialogues and debates between Christianity and Buddhism in Sri Lanka. I would like to refer you to a historical and memorable debate that took place in the coastal town of Panadura in 1873. The masterful oratory of the Buddhist prelate Migatuvate Gunananda Thera was so inspirational and motivational that it inspired many people in the Buddhist community to revive their interest in Buddhism. This sparked resurgence in both the teachings and practice of Buddhism in the country, which was even reported in USA and UK. Young David was inspired. It was just the catalyst he needed to embark on his mission to give Buddhism its due place in the country. The impact of this debate reverberated across the oceans and came to the attention of the Theosophists in the USA. The most unexpected result of that debate was that Buddhism in Ceylon came to forefront of the attention of great Theosophists, Colonel Henry Steele Olcott and Madame Helena Blavatsky, to visit Ceylon to investigate further the truth and importance of the Buddhist teaching. I might at this juncture take a moment to define who are Theosophists. They are people who examine and investigate the essence of all religions in order to discover the truth. Having visited, they became convinced of Buddhism, searched for truth, and before long took the three refuges in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha and became Buddhists. Meanwhile, young David, who was 16 years old at that time, had a fortuitous meeting with Colonel Olcott and Madame Blavatsky in 1880 and began to take an interest in Theosophy. As a result of this link, David joined a tour to Adyar in India with Madame Blavatsky. Then, on a second occasion in 1886, Colonel Olcott visited Ceylon with an English theosophist, C.W. Leadbeater, to collect funds for establishing Buddhist schools. Young David was at that time having a prestigious job, working for the government as a clerk in the Department of Education. They were looking for an individual who was fluent in Sinhala, which was the language in Ceylon, and English, to accompany them on their visits to parts of Ceylon. So David fitted the bill perfectly. It is worth remembering that Venerable Hikkaduwe Sri Sumangala Thera played a pivotal role in forging of this link with Colonel Olcott and Leadbeater, and through this great association, several Buddhist schools in Ceylon were founded. It was at that time that the young David became convinced in his own mind of the path that he wished to tread. As an initial step, he changed his name to Anagarika Dharmapala. Anagarika here refers to a person who has decided to lead a celibate, homeless life as seeker of truth. Dharmapala means a person who acts as a guardian of the Dharma. It is quite amazing how a young man of only 22 years old age could take such a decisive step to follow a cause in which he fully believed. This, of course, necessitated him giving up his job so that he could devote all his energies to the propagation of the Dhamma. In 1881 was a turning year in his life. In this year, the Anagarika visited Sarnath, Benares and Buddha Gaya, the supreme Buddhist holy places in India. He was shocked and horrified to see that such a place of veneration had gone into wreck and ruin, and that it was being neglectfully governed by non-Buddhists. This incensed the Anagarika, who prostrated himself in front of the Buddha statue and vouched that he would restore this holy site to its rightful glory, and at the same time bring this place under the jurisdiction of Buddhists. To help in fighting the many battles that lay ahead, he established the Mahabodhi Society in 1891, which he generously funded from his own family's personal wealth. The Mahabodhi Society was the first international organization for the propagation of the Buddha Dhamma anywhere in the world. He was later able to establish branches in America, England, India, Sri Lanka and Japan. As an offshoot from the establishment of the Mahabodhi Society was the publication of the Journal of the Mahabodhi, which enabled Buddhism to reach various corners of the globe through its wide readership. By this time, the Anagarika had acquired due recognition for his untiring efforts, being hailed as a Buddhist representative in the whole of Asia. This was the platform he required in order to embark on the next stage of his mission, which was to spread the word of the Buddha to the rest of the world. The World's Parliament of Religion, held in Chicago in 1893, could not have come at a better time for Dharmapala, who represented the Southern or Theravada Buddhism at this momentous occasion. On his journey to Chicago, he arrived in London as a guest of Sir Edwin Arnold, the author of the well-known Book of Light of Asia. In September, Anagarika addressed the Parliament of Religions, and the theme of his talk was the world's debt to Buddha. Following his remarkable speech, which had the audience spellbound and in awe, the Anagarika came to be recognized as the leading Buddhist figure in the whole world. Call it fate or call it destiny, mention must be made at this point of a truly remarkable meeting the Anagarika had on his return trip from USA to Japan. I refer to his meeting with Mary Foster in Hawaii. She was so impressed with the Anagarika's untiring efforts and visionary concept for the future of Buddhism that she gave millions of rupees for the propagation of Buddhist schools, temples, hospitals, etc. to be established in Ceylon, India and the UK. In 1926, his dream for propagation Buddhism in UK became realized with the birth of the London Buddhist Vihara. As a mark of gratitude to this great benefactress, the Anagarika named this building at 86 Medley Road in Ealing as Foster House. He said, I quote, "England gives everything to Asia, her arts, science and Christianity. We have the Dhamma which they have not, and our duty is to give Dhamma Dana to them." End of the quotation. The Vihara has continued to fulfill the vision of its founder since that time, except for a brief period of during the Second World War, when the premises were commanded by the government. Having moved between several places, we are now firmly established in Chiswick, as you may know, the first Buddhist monastery in the UK. He wanted to die as a monk, and he gained his ordination with the name of Devamitta Dharmapala. He died in 1933 in Sarnath, India. Before his death, he stated that his most profound wish would be to be born again another 25 times to propagate the Dharma. In summary, there were three aspects of his life's path. The main and foremost purpose was propagation of the Dhamma. For this ambition, he renounced all the wealth and possession could his birth provided him, including the comforts of a happy and contented home. But instead, he dedicated everything in his life to become an Anagarika, a homeless man. Finally, he became a monk. The other aspect was to rescue the Buddhist holy places from non-Buddhists, to give proper respect to these places and to restore them. After several court cases over several years, today the majority of the governing body at Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha became enlightened, are Buddhist. He also built a beautiful shrine called Mula Gandhakuti Vihara at the Benares, or Saranath, where the Buddha delivered his first sermon. Finally, he wanted to establish a permanent Buddhist Vihara in London. He was supported by the founder of this wonderful place, the Buddhist Society, by Christmas Humphreys. With gratitude, we remember him as well. By his life and mission, Anagarika Dharmapala showed himself to be a true Kalyana Mitra. This term is used to describe a special kind of friend. It means a noble friend who is concerned for the welfare and happiness of his fellow men. The Buddha said he was a Kalyana Mitra. The Buddha himself was a Kalyana Mitra to all mankind. Following in this tradition, Anagarika Dharmapala dedicated his entire life to the advancements of Buddhism throughout the world. So, I am very happy and honored to follow the Anagarika's footsteps and legacy. And thank you so much for inviting to give a talk about our founder today on the remarkable Buddha Day today. May you all be well and happy. Thank you.